if you have the expertise that creates outcomes, there is a responsibility on you as a service provider to lead with it. Because if we're kind of waiting to be chosen, that's never going to happen. I love being here for new podcast episodes and new podcast seasons because it really it sets the tone for like what's kind of the theme, what are we focusing on, what's next in rural and regional Australia. And right now, the thing that I think is just the key message I want every woman in regional Australia to take on is it's time to stand up and celebrate who you are, what you're already good at, what you're doing that's already getting amazing results, and shift into authority and stop being optional. So this season is the authority season. It is about leadership. It is about positioning. It is about visibility. It is about conviction. All of those things I love so, so much. And we're really not talking about like volume here, because I think in 2026, there's this, the rise of AI over the last few years has kind of done us dirty when it comes to volume and the ability of the internet to just create this massive amount of noise. And so when we're talking about visibility and conviction, it's about authority that is not necessarily noise. Definitely not noise. It is about authority that is led with leadership, that is led with clarity, that is led with this deep need to be recognized, trusted, and paid at the level of expertise that you're already at. So this season, we're going to unpack authority. What does it actually look like in this kind of maturing market? Not influencer authority, not borrowed credibility. Real authority through lived experience, through your clear positioning, strong opinions, and willingness to take up space. I have not been shy about the fact that 2026 is the year that I am willing to be trolled more than ever. I'm willing to put myself out there, a way of visibility and cringeworthiness that is going to open me up to critics. And that just means that my message is going beyond the echo chamber. And for so many of my clients that kind of live rurally, regionally, live in these small towns, it's so hard to get your message to stretch beyond your local audience. And that is what we're going to be doing differently in this season, is talking about kind of that shift from I'm a small business owner, I'm a service provider, into I'm an industry leader, and going from being good at what you do, because undeniably all of my clients are good at what they do. So it's going from this, being good at what you do to really becoming known for it, for stepping into authority and delivering excellent work behind the scenes, leading conversations, publicly shaping your industry. This season is for women who are ready to make money, deliver amazing results, and then go the step further of optimizing, elevating, and scaling. So it's going to be a really exciting season. And I'm definitely taking you guys behind the scenes in my business a little bit more. Those women who are ready to just kind of turn up the volume a little bit, make things look a little bit differently. And I don't want to, of course, I'm looking through this with rose-colored glasses because the trolls haven't quite hit me yet in 2026. They were there in 2025, but I think it just kind of reinforced this resilience that I need to have and this willingness to play in this space, that I'm willing to be hit by trolls. So this season, we're going to talk about what does authority-led visibility look like. We're going to talk about selling without convincing, leaving behind kind of convincing desperate energy, building reputation beyond your postcode, designing a business that supports leadership. And authority is so much more than just standing up and saying, I'm a leader. There's also the element of discernment, knowing what to say yes to, what to ignore, where to focus your energy. And it's all about kind of compounding your presence so that you can go further with less time, because so many of us, we're time poor. So if you ever felt like you're being overlooked, you are just, you're doing the things that you've been told over and over again, but you're not getting the cut through, this is where we're really going to give you permission and we're going to really start owning your authority. So I'm really excited about stepping into authority and giving you guys permission to step into your own authority this season. chosen. And I think when we're talking about authority, it's like we're waiting for someone. So many of my clients are in this position where they're waiting for someone to kind of come along and say, okay, wave my magic wand, you're now the authority. That's not really how stepping into authority works. It's more you just decide to become one. It is not a milestone. Like there's not some arbitrary thing. Once you've ticked this box, you become authority. It's more you're willing to step into something and earn it along the way. It's something that you've decided that you're going to do. So there's not really a milestone. There's not really a qualification. There's not really someone giving you permission and saying, okay, you're allowed to lead our industry now. That's not how positioning works. It is about you deciding, I'm going to lead. I'm going to act like a leader. I'm going to change my behaviors and really step into that. I'm going to position my messaging around these cornerstones of authority. I'm going to increase my standards. And then as you do those things in repetition, they compound. And then the recognition comes. So it's not some sort of nepotism is well and truly alive in 2026. But I think if we haven't yet been hit by the nepotism broomstick, we are not in that kind of legacy of authority. So it's really a leadership strategy, and it's something that we're choosing. Lots of women believe that if I do good, if I do the thing over and over, I'm going to get noticed. I'm going to get the recognition. And as someone's going to come along and, give you the tap on the shoulder and invite you forward. And I don't know that model ever worked where, I'm going to do the work. It's going to be really good work and I'm going to get recognized and someone's going to see it. But in today's market, the people who are leading conversations are the one who are truly the authorities, and not because they're necessarily the best, because I know, and that there are people with fewer qualifications than you, less experience, who have just decided that they're the authority figure. They're willing to speak with clarity. They're willing to speak with conviction. They've gotten really good at marketing. So they're booked out, they're busy, and they're getting paid 10 times what you are. And there was no one who came along and kind of gave them the magic wand of, you're the best one. So if you're willing to kind of step into this leadership strategy, I think it's really important that you recognize that it's you carrying a lot of it. Because if we're kind of waiting to be chosen, that's never going to happen. And a lot of what I do as a coach, there is this element of permission giving, where it is saying it's okay for you to own your shit and to step into authority and to become a leader and to recognize that your expertise is phenomenal. Your service delivery is excellent. But how do you package all of that into a pretty little bow that you can put forward to the world that they then see you as a leader? So it's almost, there's several pieces, but the first piece is accepting yourself, that you're deciding to become a leader in your industry. And I think as Australians, it is harder than ever to show up, stand up, and accept leadership positions because of tall poppy syndrome. I'm never going to stop talking about tall poppy syndrome because it is rampant, especially in regional Australia, where, who do you think you are sort of messages. I can't charge that where I live. There's so many of these really deterring messages that can hold people back. And it's expected almost that we should soften our message. We should underprice. It's different out here. And it is different out here. It doesn't mean that there can't be industry leaders and that you can't be pricing yourself as you should, as if you were living in the city. I just want to normalize that through this whole conversation. The tall poppy syndrome exists. Mindset issues are at play and likely will be continuing to be at play at every stage of authority, of leadership, of your business as you grow. I literally had a barrier probably 90 days ago that I had to work through. How do I show up as a leader? How do I show up with conviction? How do I do that in a way that makes a lot of sense without feeling like I'm alienating my audience? So it's still something that I go through, is how do I have this duality of, I understand what my audience is doing, but also I am the leader in this space and I'm the one who's really understood how it's gone over the last decade. And so let me step into this authority in a whole new different way. So it's definitely something that doesn't go away, but it is a decision. It is a decision to say, this is what I'm doing. This is the space I'm claiming. And I'm going to move forward, even though it feels a bit wobbly. I think as regional women, we likely delay this kind of authority longer than we should because everything feels louder and riskier and more personal when we are in such a bubble in small towns. There is the fear of standing out too much or of being perceived as too much or too big, or who do I think I am, of outgrowing kind of the room. And of the room not even existing. Because when we are in these small towns, rooms don't exist that talk about like, how do I become an authority figure online that is going to then transcend my local area, you know, the 100K radius. And what I want you to shift in your head is that becoming an authority figure for regional Australia, or you just happen to be located in regional Australia, if you have the expertise that creates outcomes, there is a responsibility on you as a service provider to lead with it. I'm going to repeat that. If you have expertise that creates outcomes, there is a responsibility on you to lead with it. There are plenty of people who provide services that don't necessarily create outcomes and who are acting as leaders. So if you're the one creating outcomes, driving results, you need to lead with it. You have that responsibility. And I think it's so fun to play with this idea of leadership and authority is a greater responsibility than something that's just an ego boost. Because when I think about my business, like I know that my business has a trickle down effect across regional Australia, that the more money in the hands of women is powerful. I know that. So I think it's a lot more fun to think of it as a responsibility to increase the economic impact of regional Australia by doing business coaching. And that is fun. It's also powerful. And so start thinking about like, what is my responsibility? What is my greater impact here? And that's where it kind of starts on the inside. That's kind of that internal conversation that you can have before it's necessarily, you know, I'm going to pop it up on Instagram that I'm this authority figure in this space. So it's got to start with us because the market's not giving it to us. You know, we've got to make the decision. We've got to start acting that way. We've got to have the behavior. Then we really start nailing that positioning. And eventually the recognition comes. And I think so many people think, oh, the recognition will come and then I'll start acting like an expert or I'll start positioning myself as an expert. The recognition's not coming until you decide. So you need to decide to lead. You need to give yourself some internal validation. I'm giving you permission right now. You also need to probably make some cleaner decisions. You probably need to allow your experience to come at play. You probably need to do some deeper work around everything from ideal client to packaging to positioning to messaging. There's work to be done, but first you've got to decide, you know what? I'm going to choose leadership. I'm going to not just chase visibility and virality. I'm going to choose leadership. I'm going to take on this responsibility to become an authority that is essentially the kind of trigger that allows you to end the time for money exchange, to be recognized as an expert, paid for your brain, and then start showing up and acting like that authority figure. So this season, we're really going to challenge some permission seeking. We're going to challenge hesitation. We're going to challenge what it's going to take for you to claim space, what it means to sharpen your position, and what it means to lead publicly with intention. And I am thrilled to bring you guys this season. It's like the known season. So if you go back and listen to known, it's like the known season on steroids. And so I'm really excited to bring this to your ears. All right, guys, I will speak to you next week. If you are listening to this episode, then it is, you know, the start of a new season. We'll probably have 6 to 8 episodes. I would love it if you'd pop over to Instagram. Let me know what you think. If you have any thoughts, if there's anything that kind of a penny dropped, would love to hear that. All right, guys, I will chat to you very soon.